Hey guys, this is Cruzroy. I'd like to give my impressions of the Blade helicopters. I got some big ones, gassers, but I've had neck surgery and now I'm taking my time getting back in. I feel like I lost everything hanging around and not practicing, so I had the SRX sitting around, the 230S, and what I did is recently bought the 300X, but it was a crasher. Most of these have been crashed and put back together. That's what I do. They're cheaper that way. Sometimes they can cost more money trying to repair them than working on them, but what I want to do is there's a battery in each one of these, and just to go over them, this is a really good beginner helicopter. It's not a CP helicopter, it's an FP. I got 8-degree extreme blades on it. It helps it out, but it's still, everything is stock except for the Zeal pad here under the receiver. I had to replace the frame and everything, and I went with a Zeal pad. And I'm running, standard size batteries. I just threw these little O-rings on here for ground protection, and it has a tail motor. So the SRX is a very good FP learner, and I'm going to show you soon, how it takes off and hovering. And the 230S, which is the only one I got that came with the DXE transmitter. The 230S, a little bit bigger than the 200. Same design though, it has a tail motor and stock motor up front. But it also has the safe system like the 200 SRX. The only thing I did here was get green blades for it. This canopy's all chipped up because I'm still practicing, and I got a new one for it, but I won't put it on until this is totally destroyed. Like I said, it's just a little bit bigger, a little heavier, and also this can do 3D, and it has all the settings built into the radio to do almost anything a big helicopter can do. The next one up is a 300X. Someone gave me a good deal on a Scorpion motor, so it's in there right now. I used an old Icon. It's been sitting in the closet for a long time. I still have to tie up the wires. I just got the Talon cable, so I just programmed it. We're going to see what happens. If you notice, we have some wind here, and we're going to see how they go together. This is a little bit harder to manage. The only thing I realized is this fiberglass canopy, how really cool and nice it is, and I picked it up really cheap. It echoes horribly. This helicopter sounds horribly loud with this canopy on it. It just echoes like a speaker, and it sounds like there's something wrong, but there isn't. If I take the cover off, it's fine. And this is running aligned metal gear servos, an Icon, Spectrum digital tail servo. And the difference between this, it has a belt drive to the rear tail assembly. I do have a 450 tail assembly to put on here. I just haven't done it yet. So differences here: one motor powers the whole heli, CP heli, and the 230S and the 200, they have their own brushless tail motor, and same with the 200 SRX. They have their own separate motor for the tail, no belts involved or anything. So anyways, get all the blah 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 out of the way. That's what they look like, their comparison, if you want to compare size-wise. Even though the 200 SRX is small, it's a good outside flyer. And the 230S ain't bad either, but I'm going to point out the wind that's going on here. And like I said, I'm just getting back in the saddle here with everything. And let me just set them up. I can't really do any abrasive flying in a small area that I'm in today, but this was just to give you a comparison. And move the blade holders out of the way. Okay, also these were bind and fly, the 200S RX bind and fly. It looks like an airplane on the radio, but it's actually set up for this. This one has the DXE, and the 300X is programmed into the DX7, which is nice. You can buy as many of these as you want and just program them into your radio. Alright, so enough blah blahing. Let's just get to it. I always make sure to level and wait for them to boot up. You'll see the fly bar bouncing up and down to tell you she's ready. What I noticed is the canopies, that's why I got the fiberglass canopy, was canopies for blade, they're very, very, very thin. Thin. You pull on them too tight. That's how I bought this one. The canopy was torn because you're trying to stretch and get it over the pin. And it's real hard to push. You end up breaking them here or anything, so you got to take your time. It's the only downfall with their cheap canopies. And actually, they're not cheap, but I'm going to fly all of these in basic mode. Now, she's no ball of fire, but even in the wind, she's definitely stable with the fly barless system. It's just a small craft. You can do pirouettes, everything with it. But like I said, not a ball of fire, at least in this mode. I'm in basic mode, so I won't pirouette the other two because it's just not enough room here. And I'm not that good at it. But this one is such a comfortable flyer, you can get it pretty close to you, like a... But it's good for orientation to practice with, even though it's an FP. And it runs a fairly long time if you get... I don't recommend Blades batteries, they're expensive, and I get my batteries from Hobby King, just match the sizes and how many cells, and you can actually have a lot longer run time for a lower cost. My favorite is my gasser because I can fly all day on a gallon of gas, but like I said, I've been getting back to basics. Well, like I said, for a little heli, you're outside, it's windy. You can let go of the controls if your fingers get tired. Just take your time and set them up properly. There's people talking about at takeoff, they tilt. It's because of the fly barless system. Also, if it's not set up right, you'll have all kinds of issues, but very important. But out of the box, it should be okay unless you buy one like me crashed. I think I paid $35 for this one, and it needed everything from the head, the frame, but all the electrical components were good, and that's where the expense is. So overall, for a little guy, you can play with it outside in the field. It's got good range, of course, because you're using your Spectrum receiver and a Spectrum radio. But very, very good for practicing orientation. And it can get up some pretty good speed. The extreme blades help out with the lift, give you a little bit longer hang time. But it is amazing. When I first started in this, you couldn't grab a heli like this unless it was a coaxial. So if you're out for looking for a first-time heli, believe it or not, after a year and a half of hanging around, I actually felt pretty good just to fly this. And like I said, I'm in basic mode and she can still be maneuverable. But I won't change the modes in this little area. As you notice, I have an electrical wire over my head, a bunch of trees, a shed, but I still don't give up. So let me lay on this one. That's the 200 SRX. Disconnect the battery. But see, this is where people tear their canopies. That's the only thing I don't like about it. Well, if you want to look at what it looks like in there, the ESC on the bottom, it's all stock. I had to replace gears in 2 of these. The 230S I got, it was in a box or something. I must have cracked something because I was getting a servo that was spinning and I had to rebuild the whole servo. But 200 SRX, that's what it looks like under the hood. Let me put her over here. Put her canopy here. Okay, next up, the 230S. Let me shut the Spectrum radio off. This one has the DXE. Sorry for the blue tape. I just put blue tape here. This is for the trim. After I rebuilt it, you need to trim fly it. Just check all my switches. Well, I hope that's basic mode, because I'll be in trouble. Alright, see, like this Hobby King 1000 milliamp zippy battery, $3 a piece. Oop. Yep, I was right. Again, let it sit, boot up, do its little dance, and now you see it's pitched. They say that's what the problem with the 230S is. You go to take off, it wants to lean over. Once it's done its dance and she's booted up, I put bigger grommets on this one because this canopy's falling apart anyway, so let me see. That looks like I'm not in basic mode, but it was. That's how you can tell. You change the modes, the RPM speeds up. Alright, so basic mode 230S DXE Spectrum. Now this one has a little bit more oomph to it. And see how it starts to tip? A little bit different than the SRX, but it doesn't mean it's not as stable. I'm going to set it right there. See, now that's a collective pitch helicopter. It's got a little drift, but it stays flat for you. As long as it's all set up properly, you know, you got to set your swash plate right. But see, I'm talking from experience of tearing one apart, not taking it out of the box. They're supposedly all set up proper right out of the box. And I'll hit the switch for you. You can hear the motor. The SRX really doesn't do this. It changes its DR settings more or less than speed, but let's see how that speeds up as soon as you hit the switch. You have different settings. So basic, advanced, and 3D. But same thing like the SRX, but it's a collective pitch. You have more ability to do many more things and have fun with it. I'm just going to fly it around for a little bit. But if you hear it, it's kind of loud, but not really loud. The 300X has the same sound, especially when it originally had the same motor. And now it's got a Scorpion, but I put the Scorpion in there. I thought I was having issues with the motor, but it's the fiberglass shell is like a speaker, and it really cries a lot of noise. But I kind of like this one too, for being real stable. If you want to get into CP and practice. Originally I had a U-Fly, and that was only a fixed pitch helicopter. And all it did was crash. You know, I'm not really uppity up with Walkera's stuff, but I did own some Walkeras after that, and they were kind of better. But I gotta say, Blade's kind of sticking with the noobs, which is a good thing, even all the way up into their newest fly-barless system, the AR7200BX, the system that's a little bit bigger than this, or you can go to your own like an Icon or a Socrum. I don't know what the range is on this radio, because it was not a bind and fly, it was ready to fly. But it's just sitting there stable, you know. So another good trainer. Okay, let me put this one to rest. Very important on your gear mesh, and you'll see I have white lithium grease in there. Kind of quiets the gears down a little bit. And again, disconnect the battery on the helicopter before shutting your radio off, unless you want some real serious black and blues. Alright, now as you start getting bigger into the 300s, and I think there's a 450, and you can basically buy these bind and fly, which they're using the AR 72BX, or you can put your own. You can customize them with Scorpion motors and Icons and whatever servos you want. I think this one was purchased as an airframe, and it came to me, all the ball links were screwed up and blah blah blah. I mean, I can go on for 100 times, but I got it to a flyable state, but it's such a small bird compared. This Icon was originally on a gasser, a little bit different setup, but I'm working on it. I just did the Talon programming, so let me change my radio here. Okay, so I'm on the Blade 300X. And like I said, if you want to look at it under the hood, this one here has got a cracked frame. It's got a servo holding it together for now, until I enjoy it enough that I'll replace the frame. Icon, aligned metal servos, a Spectrum digital servo for the rudder. And like I said, this is belt drive. And then it has a Talon 25 ESC. I kind of don't, I was holding it and trying to do make-believe 3D, and it has a cutoff. It just cuts off on me, so I've been trying to figure that out. Same thing, 140 12 tooth. I got lithium grease on there to quiet it down, and if you hear it, it sounds really, really, really smooth. But in this canopy, nice looking canopy by Lynx, it's very, very loud, and you're going to hear it in a minute. Motor off. Always check your switches. Same thing, let the Icon boot up, do a little dance. Fiberglass canopy. Thought it would be a good addition, but it is kind of loud, and you'll see what I mean. Unless I'm doing something wrong here, but, and it's a little tight getting it on. Same thing with anybody here, the canopies or blade. I guess they don't want the canopy to fall off, so they use a very, very tiny grommet. So you gotta kind of fuss with it to get it on. But there you go. Kind of looks cool. But let me show you this one. She's in basic mode. Carbon fiber blades. And this is the first flight. It's the first flight since the new programming on the Talon. It seems to be RPM and really high here. Okay, now this has nothing to do with blade because it has the icon in it. But see how much louder it is? It's actually just an echo out of the fiberglass canopy. I'm kind of not digging the carbon fiber blades. I can't see them that well. They kind of blend in with everything. Very, very maneuverable compared to the other two. And it's staying flat, but I got to keep my fingers on these sticks. So I'm still working on tuning up the icon. And someone says I got to get a governor magnet on my, I'm assuming the main gear, and hook it up to the icon so I can control the speeds a little better. But I mean, it is a nice looking little bird there for a collective pitch. But I'm still working on it. It's got a little jitter in the tail, no matter what I put the gain at. And someone gave me a deal on a 450 tail section. No matter how I change the gain, I got this little wag going on. A little bit more advanced than the other two. So the other two are more out of the box, go out and fly, take your time. This one here is more, I think they sell it ready to fly. Well, like I said, I bought it tore up from somebody, had 1,000,000 flights on it. Needed a lot of repairs, main gear, main shaft, head assembly. Not too much, the canopy was cracked. But yes, I'm still getting a little tail wag out of it. A lot more agile than the other two birds. Need a little bit more room than what I have right here to take her out, but I got to get a little bit more tuning done, get rid of the tail wag. But if you see the wind, she's just holding there. So the icon's holding it good. I want to do a pitch pop, but I don't have the room. I'll be cutting trees down. It seems to hold right at a straight 30. Shut the motors off. So I still got to work on the pitch and throttle curve there, but I'm going to shut the video off in a minute and finish flying these batteries. But 200 SRX, 230S, and a 300X. That's what they look like. I don't know what to tell you. Blade did a good job. I got some high-end birds. I got a Trek 600, a Goblin, a Raptor 50, and the Goblin's a gasser, and that's my most feared one right now to fly at the moment. But Blade did a good job. If you're someone that wants to get back into the swing of things or even start out, they really did a good job on their settings and how it flies. I mean, I do see a lot of them crashed on eBay. That's how I buy them. And it's either people that are just not taking the time to read or watch a few videos and understand helicopters in general. But that's all I need to say. This is Cruz Roy. Fly good and fly hard, and hope everybody has as much fun as I do with this heli addiction of ours. And Cruz Roy, and I'm out of here.